All right, I have started recording and I am going to just take you through the entire course. So apologies for this delay. We will be looking at phonology, and I had begun the last class on 24th April with this element that we are looking at, where we are saying, how do we look at sounds? Why are sounds important? And one of the questions that I had left you with was, there are very few vowel sounds in a lot of desert languages, and can you identify why that might be? So can someone tell me why there may be very few vowel sounds in the desert languages? Did you check out? Go ahead, Ria. Yeah. Anyone? Can't hear Ria, dearly. Anyone else who has looked at it or has opinions about it? So when you are using the vowel sounds, now tell me this, when you are saying ah, oo, e, do you open your mouth a lot more? Say when you say ka. Say ka and say ah. Where will your, in what place are you expelling a lot more breath? When are you opening your mouth a lot more? Ka, ah. Ka, oo. That's a question for the whole class. Is it just me? Can I not hear, or is everyone else able to hear? Just going to check the chat. Yeah. Is someone speaking, or is it just that I'm not able to hear? Can you let me know? Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah, okay, no one was talking. So during the vowel, Suchitra, yes, and Ria Gindra, yes, you're right, that the vowel sounds, the mouth opens up a lot more when saying ah. And when your vowels are open, your mouth is open, it is more likely to dry up your mouth, isn't it? Now, when you understand that element, that it dries up the mouth, you realize a lot more in terms of how these aspects of, uh, what occurs in these aspects of phonology really come to be. Because what you're really doing is you're basically, in the desert, you have to save every breath, every drop of water that you can. And so the entire analysis that comes in from there is about the fact that you had to, because you had to ensure that your mouth was dry enough, was not drying too much, you would not use too many vowel sounds in the desert languages. So it was a very practical element of, saying it. So even Mongolian, even within in China, where the Mongolian tribes, when they are speaking a lot, they don't open their mouths a lot. In Eskimo language, again, you will find a lot of vowel sounds, not as many vowel sounds as the guttural sounds that will be there, because it actually consumes less saliva and it exposes your mouth a lot less to air that will dry up your mouth. So geographic conditions actually impact the way that you are sounding. Geographic conditions are the way that your phonology may change. We've also found that as the, as our civilization changed from becoming very hunter-gatherer oriented towards agrarian oriented, where we had agriculture and we were eating more crops than we were eating meat, the kind of nuancing of language where you would have changes, the tongue would shift backwards and forwards, and there would be more dental sounds, was actually a lot more nuanced based on civilization practices, because your teeth shape changed, right? We then developed fewer incisors. If you notice the old Homo sapiens thing, the incisors were a lot sharper. The front teeth, in a sense, were a lot more sharper and more rabbit-like in the sense of biting. You would actually be able, and therefore the tongue would perhaps not as very closely touch the teeth in the sense, and the teeth would have double, would have more, the molars would be very strong and they would be very long. So you would not be able to use a lot of fricatives. You would not be able to use a lot of words that would have a sir sound in it, because the breath would not come out too well. Try saying the way that I am doing it now, where my teeth is at the lower lip. If I have very long teeth, then try saying sir. When you bite your, when your teeth is in front of your lower lip, try saying sir with that. And you will realize you can't. And that's an important element of understanding language analysis as well. So can anyone do that? Say sir with your teeth, upper teeth in front of your lower lip.
It will become fur.
Yeah.
It's sounding as fur.
Yes. So you realize how the teeth, variation comes in that sense. So nasal vowels, as you talk about in French, as pointed out here, Sneh, is not really, and all these vowel sounds that you're looking at is not really vowel sounds. And no, I would, OU as you're looking at soup, and oi as va. The ones that you have identified are not really in the way that you're looking at in French novels. Please do not be searching for these, because you will get them all confused, and this is not the received pronunciation that we will be doing anyway. Also, when you're looking at it in terms of the International Phonetic Alphabet, these sounds that you have identified as AI, AU, etc., do not really work. So bait 8 is not AI in the way that you have written it. So I just ignore this and do not get carried away with these elements. So that's the first point. The second point is that you will have to be able to look at the received pronunciation elements. But the point that I'm also trying to get you to understand is why we are so obsessed with the sounds. In terms of language, oral language is the first thing that came to be. And if you really look at the history of language, then if you look at the writing, and there's this John McWhorter, who is a very famous linguist and works in America. And he has this very beautiful TED talk on languages. And the one thing that he comes up with, which is written in a lot of other books, is that if you count the history of language, okay, any language, as 1 hour, then writing comes to not even be the last minute of that 1 hour. It is not even that much. The length of writing, I mean, the history of writing is not even that much. In terms of language, we had languages in terms of symbols and gestures and sounds. Animals have their own language. There's this entire language called bee dance, that bees can dance and talk about, what they will do if there is danger, what they announce if they're where honey is, how do they refer to the location, how do they point out the location of honey and nectar to other bees, and how do they organize their beehives, and all of it. There is an entire language that comes across all of those elements. So We are obsessed with sound because sound does make an impact in terms of the way that we receive information. We are generally, and I was asking you this between Hindi and Marathi, there is this perception that Marathi will be a harder, harsher language. And if you hear it, it is harsher. It is because you will have a lot more th in it. You will have a lot more l in it than l. L sounds a lot more lyrical. L doesn't sound as lyrical. Try saying L and move to the next, glide to the next sound. It is not that easy. But say L and glide to the next sound. It is a lot more easier to glide, right? So that is an important component because the way that a listener is listening, you have these languages that seem to be sweet languages, like French is considered to be one of the sweetest languages in the world, has a lot of vowels in it. It will change the C sound and the K sound in the C to the S sound. And that makes it a lot more softer than a plosive K in a sense. You will find that a lot of desert languages sound very harsh. Again, as I said, the lack of vowels makes them sound that harsh. You will find that a lot of, so Arabic, for instance, in that sense, you will find that, and Marathi, or I come from, my friends in North always used to say, when your parents and you are talking, it sounds like you guys are fighting. And you'd be like, yeah, we fight, but this is not a fighting topic. And this is not we fighting, but it just sounds a lot more harder, harsher when you're speaking in Tamil than if you are speaking in, say, Punjabi or Hindi. The sounds are softer in Punjabi and Hindi. You will have a lot more in and th and all of those in Tamil than you would have otherwise. Even the r sound comes in. So this becomes an important part of understanding messages, of shaping words, of choosing words that will sound pleasing to the ear or will sound harsh to the ear, and therefore will impact the way that a receiver receives the message. In advertising field, in songwriting, you want to convey a particular message, and so the word choice and the breaks and the pronunciation become very important in delivering the message, right? That is one of the reasons why we are doing phonology. So it is coming from that perspective. So please understand it from that perspective. It will be much more interesting for you to do it in that sense. Yes, Sanchay, go ahead, ask your question.
Ma'am, so when you talk about Marathi accent, Marathi language basically, so I have always observed that any person who is speaking Hindi in Marathi accent, even that sounds harsh. So for me, I have noticed the accent is what makes one sound harsh rather than the words. That's what I
Accent is
observed
not
up till now.
something that makes harsh. Accent will be just the way that your accent has nothing to do with harshness, right? Accent is, there is a difference between pronunciation and accent. How will you say accent? For instance, when I'm saying accent, um, if you're looking at it very, very simply, a lot of the Maharashtrians will say parents. They don't say parents. They say parents. A lot of the Marathi speakers, if you're looking at it, the way that you say parrot is the same way that people will say parents. That's a pronunciation problem. That's not an accent problem. Accent comes in when you have the correct pronunciation, but you're making this word sound softer or harsher based on your own preferences, based on your own language, right? So for instance, when I will say problem and I will emphasize the per in it, problem, then that becomes an accent issue. If I add a sound at the end, okay, which is based on the way that I am trained in my native language, perhaps to add a sound, or I add a sound or a oo sound at the beginning of another word that starts with a vowel, like Bengalis, for instance, the way that my name gets pronounced in Bengal is Unusha, not Anusha, because they will not start it with him. So I always respond to Unusha, right? So in that sense, that becomes a pronunciation issue. That's not an accent issue itself. How will you differentiate an accent? Accent will be the way that you soften the sounds or you harden it, of course, but you also slow down the pace. Are you changing the pace or anything? So you will have to figure out whether it's an accent or pronunciation or things. What you talk about as Hindi speakers sounding harder in Marathi when they speak Marathi is primarily because they are not accustomed to pronouncing it in that way. So Vitthal versus Vitthal, right? So now if you are looking at Vithala, 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 now that if you're not accustomed to it, you will tend to exaggerate the th sound a lot more because you want to consciously ensure that the th sound comes out as very strong because that's how you're hearing it. And over a period of time, that becomes more natural to you. So think about whether you're saying pronunciation or accent. Think about whether you are whether when there is an emphasis on a particular sound, whether that is what is occurring. Yes, go ahead. Someone was speaking. Yes, was someone speaking? Okay, we will come back to the accent issue a bit later again. For now, I will go on to the pronunciation aspect and figure out this. This is something that has been uploaded in your drive. This is the book or the reading that you will go by. And these are the consonant sounds that you will be looking at. And these are the vowel sounds that we will be looking at. Okay, now it is important that you understand that this is the Bible for you to go to, because otherwise life is going to become quite problematic in terms of what all you will be looking at and where all you will be reading. Now, ideally, I would have liked to have a whiteboard and do this on a whiteboard also, because it is quite tough to do this without the whiteboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share another screen where I hope that I can draw for you all. So just give me 1 second. Yes, go ahead. If you have chats, please do go ahead. So it is pronunciation, Azra. As long as you can recognize a sound as a distinct sound, it is pronunciation. Accent is how you emphasize the sound. Okay, so I think we'll first do the consonant sounds first. So just give me a second. I'm going to be continuing sharing my screen. So think in French, right? In French, when you talk about rendezvous, what occurs in that is that, and versus the way that you might say it in English, is the way that you will roll the R or not roll the R. Right, that becomes a pronunciation issue, and that's how you can distinguish the French sound from the British sound. You can also distinguish the Australian English from the American English based on pronunciation. It's not an accent issue. Schedule, British English versus American English is a pronunciation problem, not an accent problem. So keep those elements in mind when you are looking through the focus. Yeah, I think I will use these images from the board. Fortunately, I had taken pictures last year when I was doing this in person, because this year it's going to be so difficult. I would ideally make you all do this and share images. So I will be making you all put up assignments in class, in the classroom, to be dealing with so give me a second more to open. Sorry, the net is active. Guess the images will take a bit of time to showcase. So in that meantime, what I will do is I will open this other phonetic chart and then deal with it. All right. So I'll take my time to move it and position those images with you all there. And I will stop sharing. What we will look at is some of the images. I'm going to put this on a PPT and then transfer the images onto your slides a bit later. But that is what I think will work best for us. So one that you will have to understand is that there are certain things in terms of pronunciations. You're looking at pronunciations of sound based on the manner of pronunciation, which is how you expel your breath. Based on the type of pronunciation, so which is voiced, I mean, do you expel your breath? To what extent is that heard or anything? And the other is, where is it pronounced from? The place of pronunciation, right? So those are important elements that we would be keeping in mind when we are dealing with pronunciations and elements. So I'm going to take the Roach diagram that you will be able to see in the shared drive, Phonetics by Peter Roach, that I just showcased. And I'm going to try and share the screen for that with you all for the sounds that come in. Now, I'll also stop my video so that there is less interference. So typically, what you would have to try and understand is the kind of sounds that you will get when you are referring to. Now, can you see the blank screen on the shared drive? Is that visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. So the first thing that occurs is the place of articulation. So we will be looking at the, sorry. So we'll be looking at the place, and this is the first thing I want you to do with respect to the place, is figure out tell me, do you use your lips in terms of sounds? Do you use your lips, two lips, and which are the sounds that you use your two lips in?
Of the place.
What are the sounds?
Sound is in the.
Which are the sounds that you make using your lips?
I thought you were asking when we pronounce place only then. Okay.
Ma'am,
Which are the
pho,
sounds?
bho, sounds like those.
Okay. Anything else? As in pat. Okay. Anything else?
The M sound.
The M sound. Okay. I'll have to do this. The B sound as in bat. The M sound as in mat. Okay. Anything else?
Ma'am.
Do you use your two lips?
Her.
Or do
Yes,
you use your upper teeth and your lower lip?
Ma'am, I am using upper lip.
How are you using upper lip when you're saying fur?
Ma'am, I can show you one video. I'm using upper lip.
Fur cannot be said without using your upper teeth. Say fat. Say fat and say pat. Say pat as in here and say fat as in here. And now see if they are both coming from the same place.
No, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. You will be using your
I'm
upper
using
teeth.
fur.
Yeah. You use your upper teeth.
I think I am using the Urdu version. Nukta wala.
Even that fur, full fur, is not the one that you will have to use your upper teeth for it. Your upper teeth comes close to your lower lip, without which you cannot say fur. Which is why people who have very long teeth, like rabbits, okay, for them fur is very difficult to say, because your teeth has to come near your lower lip and there has to be a release of air, which is one of the reasons why you have a lot of those tongue twisters where fatna, fool. Those are very difficult ones to say. Phool, जो आप फूल बोलते हैं, वो जो फूल है उससे आपका प आएगा. लेकिन that p is a slightly different one which will have a matra below it in that sense, which is the Urdu one that you are saying, Sanjay. Fool, isn't it? Yes. That is the aspirated p, like it is the ph in that sense, right? Pool. जैसे कि पुल होता है, लेकिन वो पूल होता है, लेकिन फूल. That who, her, is a different one, which only comes in Arabic and Urdu languages primarily, not even the Hindi one. So right. That is an aspirated one. That is where you will have the, like kh bolte hain hum, hai na? We use kh as in kitab, and we use kh as in khana. Kh. That kh does not come in English language. It is an aspirated one where the k and the extra sound of air release that we put in with comes in. That is your k. That is how it is emphasized. So you realize it is all about breath control in that sense, right? So in English, the sounds that you have is p, b, m, mat. There is another sound that uses this. There is this w sound, as in world. You know, where Bunty and Bubbly were talking about world, ye jo world, world is how we use it in Hindi, because in Hindi we have the v sound. We will use the v sound in Hindi. We don't have this sound in Hindi at all. We don't have anything which says world. Do you realize the difference here versus here, van? Can you see the difference? Say it and try it. World versus van. Guys, I am sharing my screen, so it will be very difficult for me to now look at the chat currently. Let me see if I can reduce the size and work this. So the fool, as in this dot matra below the fur is no. That is the different fur, Disha. When you say the fool in, your matter, it is slightly different. You have a sound of who, her, which doesn't come in here as much as it comes in Urdu and Arabic, Persian languages, which is a very different sound. So what I'm asking for is not the first sound. The first sound is there as in fat. You जो आप full बोल रहे हैं, वो fat में भी आता है. So that F sound is already there in both of it. So no, it's not the same sound. Okay. So you will have to make that distinction. If you're looking at bilabial has the two teeth touching. Okay. Which is p, bh, m, w. आप देखो उसमें सिर्फ आपके लिप्स पास में आके बात कर रहे हैं. प, भ, म, w. The point is of your upper lip and your lower lip meeting and talking to each other. I'm also trying to show on the video with my lips, but also you need to pronounce it yourself, because that's when you realize it. And I'm also trying to distinguish the other sounds without going back to that sheet that we have of Roach, which I will share a bit later. But I'm saying that you will have these problems between fur and fur. Fur as in fat, so you need to look at it. World, were, which is a were sound, but the were sound comes where your lips are, your lower lip inner part and your upper lip inner part are kind of meeting and parting ways. Were, world, right? And van is where your upper teeth meets the lower lip, comes close together and leaves it, right? I'm not looking at anything other than place of articulation right now. Which are the other places where you could have, which are the other kinds of places that you could have your sound come from? This is labiodental. The bilabial, because lips, labial, bilabial, two lips, labiodental, teeth and lip. Any other sound that you may think of?
Ma'am, the throat.
When two.
Sorry, someone was saying.
Sorry. Okay. So I was just saying when your upper teeth and your lower teeth join together, like
there is no what sound will come when your upper teeth and lower teeth join together?
Like I think maybe.
No, say it again. How will your upper teeth and your lower teeth come together, and what sound do they make? The only sound they can make is, which is like a clacking sound, which is not there. That's the only sound they make when they come together.
Yeah.
You're right in the
Ma'am,
sense that there is something called a dental sound, but I would like you to know whether it is dental for what reason. So there is a dental sound, but it is not your upper teeth and lower teeth coming together. It is about your tongue, your teeth coming together. So can you tell me which will they be?
Ma'am,
Someone had throat, and I'm going to leave it there as
yeah.
another sound,
Mm,
but I will put it at
ma'am,
the end.
yeah. Ma'am, when the tip of the tongue touches the upper teeth, you create the th sound, right? As in
Yes.
think, or the fart, or the,
Yes.
yeah.
So you have this sound. Please note the way I'm writing it out, if you can. I write an O and a theta. It's basically like a theta. And the other sound that you have is in this way, the ulta 6 with a slash, like kind of an ulta 6 with a slash, right? These are the two sounds that you have. One is that this sound is your the sound, as close to the as you can get. Huh? This is where you are looking at, um, and this is your the sound. So this will be something like the thing. This will be thing. Can you get the difference?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that. What else can you think of?
I could not understand the difference. They both sound similar to me. The movement in the
Say
mouth is
think,
same.
say think, say think,
Think,
say think.
think, think, think. In both
Do they sound
both
the same?
ways, my tongue is
But they're not
the
supposed to
tip
sound
of
the same.
tongue is touching the upper teeth.
Yeah, they are. Of course they are. But aren't you saying the versus the? Both of them, of course, touch the teeth. But the point is what comes there is also about not just the fact that they're touching the teeth, but about how you're expelling air. One is the other is the. Both are in the same place. So my question is start looking up words. So I want you to now come up with words that will map to that. Give me the words which will map to th as opposed to the.
There is this another word, drive. Draw.
The is a different sound. The is a very different sound.
Ma'am, the
I'm just asking
alphabet
you for
H.
the and the. Yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, the alphabet H could be labiodental, maybe. H.
No, H is not labiodental. H is not even a sound. I am asking you for the. And right now, let's please stick to one of the things that I've asked you. Just stick to that. The and the. Give me words in English that correspond to the and the that begin or have alphabets from the and the. That's what I want you to do. That's all that I have asked, right?
Ma'am, in Marathi,
Hmm. No, not in Marathi. I want English words. We are doing English receive pronunciation.
Thesis.
Okay, sorry, ma'am.
Thesis.
Yeah,
Mm.
cases.
Ma'am,
Yes, very good.
ma'am,
Any-
THAN, THAN,
Dan,
THAN.
okay. Yes. THAN, Dan. So let's do that.
Ma'am, throbbing.
Okay.
Hello. Throbbing
Yes.
could be a word.
Yes. Throb.
ma'am,
Yes.
teeth.
Teeth. Teeth is different.
Ma'am, thumb.
But
Thumb.
teeth in that sense of your teeth here,
Yes, ma'am.
it will be this. Yes.
Okay. So it's a th sound or a th sound? The
This
sound.
is
Okay,
the,
ma'am.
I have given you the here. Teeth. Do you say teeth?
No, no.
हाँ तो ये इतना इससे ज्यादा I cannot give you differences. Huh?
Yes.
This does not occur in. Let me change the color. Actually, this does not occur in Hindi at all. World, there is no such thing in Hindi at all for world, okay? But all of the others, if you realize, do occur in Hindi to a certain extent. So keep those in mind. I will also try and make that evident, clear to you. So thesis, right? The as in the, than, this is your the, right? This becomes your the sound. It doesn't have to be from here in terms of just the th. It can be any other, but obviously you will have more problems with th because th has variations in sound. The way that the spelling occurs, there are variations in sound. So these are the dental sounds, right? You have under the dental, you will have these two sounds. Then go to the upper ridge, just above your teeth, there is a hard ridge. If you notice, it is hard, the ridge, it has got like, you know, it is just above your upper teeth, it's slightly hard. And there are these breaks in your teeth, in your things. Can you notice that?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
The line.
Right. So now I am going to, I will have to expand the screen so that it works. So now I'm going to look at this thing that is called alveolar. The ridge is called an alveolar ridge. I hope you're able to see this. Can you? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
Ma'am.
It is called an alveolar ridge. Now I will ask you to think of words that you can see from that place. Since we are on the thing, let us start from there. We said teeth, right? Now, can you start with teeth? Now, just think of how do you say t? Does your say think and say teeth? Does the tongue move? Is the tongue at the dental when you are saying t as in teeth? Compare it to how you say think, her. You will have to say it.
Ma'am, I
Ma'am.
did not get.
Say teeth, t, and say think, t. Is it from the same place?
No, ma'am.
So what happens? Thought is another one. Yes.
Teeth is more like alveolar and the rest like dental.
Yeah, but the point of it is for you to practice it and say it, right? Like Sanjay is saying that he doesn't get it. My question is, where is your tongue when you are saying t?
The ridge.
Can. Okay, say can. Say where is your tongue when you are saying tan. Tan. This is for everyone, not just the couple of people who got it. This is for everyone. So till everyone gets it, we are not going to move. Yeah. So you realize that the t sound will be, your tongue rolls up a little bit. It is not touching your teeth. Say the, Sanchay and others who have not got it, say the. Where is your tongue when you say the? The tip of your tongue is touching the upper teeth, lower part, right? Now say tan. What does the tongue do when you say tan? The tongue moves up a bit, doesn't it? When you say tan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, now you got the difference?
Yes,
this of course requires practice. Okay. Now when you say tan, thank you for that. Another sound that you would have is D, as in Dane or something like that. You can say Dan as well, but yeah. Got the D sound here. Did, for instance. Can you say did? Yeah. What about the sound for which are the other sounds that you can think of which come from the same place?
Ma'am, thought.
Thought is starting with the dental and moving towards the alveolar.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, it ends with T only. Oh, what's the
Okay.
big difference?
Tomato.
Ma'am, S.
Tomato is T, no? Which are the other sounds I'm asking?
S,
Ma'am,
ma'am, S.
la, ma'am.
L comes, yes, absolutely. L as in late. Yes. L. Late. Late.
Ma'am,
Yes, absolutely. Laugh. Anything else? Think about it.
ma'am,
Use words
N
like
sound
go. No. Yes. No.
and
Ma'am,
R sound.
ma'am, do,
What? We just
do,
finished saying the as in think or thing coming here. How does the come here?
Ma'am, she's saying duh, duh. Duh for daring.
The is did, already done, right?
S, S, ma'am.
Sir as in so. Okay.
Sir.
Yeah. Sir as in so. So can you think of any other sound that gets confused with sir? So now I will ask you this. His versus his. How do you pronounce this?
Ma'am, I can't see your shared screen.
You can't see my share screen. Let me share it again. Yeah. How can you pronounce this? Versus his.
Ma'am, sir and the.
Correct. The way you write it is actually in this manner. You don't actually pronounce the z, or you could use it as zoo. This is another word for it. Do you get how many words there are where your tongue is touching the alveolar ridge? Tan, did, late, no, so, zoo. Just pronounce the first words of these and you realize that all of these are from the same place. But they sound very different. Why do they sound very different, even if they are from the same place? Say it aloud for yourselves. I generally make the class do this and make your like things, but I realize on the Teams it will be difficult for me to get it. But say it aloud for yourself. Tan, did, late, no, so, his, or zoo. Okay, so say it aloud and
Ma'am, like in some of the words, like the tongue is touching even like back part of the ridge. So even the so the tip of tongue is touching different parts in different words, and
is
same
it?
lips are also opening
Is
wide
it?
in few.
Tan, say did, say no, say late, say so, say zoo. How is it touching different parts of it? Rich. Is it really touching the different parts of your ridge? Is it going left and right? Say tan, did, late, no, so, zoo. It's
So, ma'am,
touching
in if
differently.
there,
It is
yeah,
touching it differently. The force of the touch is different. Is the place of the touch different?
I mean, so and 10, I find a difference in the place of that.
So and
10, 10,
tan. Say tan,
10.
and say so.
So,
What is happening? Is it in so the tongue rolls a bit? But is it touching another part of your alveolar ridge? When you say it is touching a different part of the alveolar ridge, that is a different problem altogether. So is it touching a different part of your alveolar ridge? It is rolling. The tongue is rolling when you say so. So. Soon. Sir. Sat. Say sat. Don't say so then. Say sat. Tan. Sat. Now. Or
now
sit.
there is, it doesn't feel different. Yeah.
So you are mistaking where the tongue ends with the where the tongue is beginning. So sir, ter. Now when you say ter and when you say sir, there is a difference in the force with which the tongue is touching. This is your ter. If I'm looking at it in Hindi, tamatar ka ter. This is your da. Damru ka da. This is your la. As close to la as you can get. This is your na. This is your sa. Sorry. This is why I wanted the board. This is your sa. And this is your za. Jahaz, za. As close to it as you can get. These are obviously not equivalent in things, but you do get that there is a difference. I mean, there is a similarity out here, right? This is your pa. This is the ba. Bath, ba, ma. You get the difference? So this is the alveolar aspect that you are looking at. This is the alveolar ridge. We'll come back to these. It will take time. So we'll come back to these. Let's look at something that will go a little bit beyond the alveolar, what we call the post-alveolar. So you will move your tongue a little bit more from the alveolar towards the inner part of your mouth. And there are certain sounds that come from there. I will ask you this. How do you say shoe? Shoe. Say so or sit and say shoe. Say sir, so, and say shoe, sure.
Ma'am, tongue movement has stopped. Or maybe it's minimum.
Is it?
It's lesser
Where
than
is your
6.
tongue?
Yeah.
Where is your tongue?
Ma'am,
Yeah, go ahead.
the middle of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth.
Not the roof of the mouth. The roof of the mouth is the upper part, which is absolutely ticklish.
Yes, ma'am.
So it won't touch the roof of your mouth. Where is shoe, sure? The tongue doesn't really touch it properly, but the tongue is moved, rolled a bit back. That's all that has happened.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Yes. Say, if you're saying shoe, say also another thing which is there, which is je, as in pleasure. This is also not there in Hindi. So it generally gets confused with ja, but it is not really ja. This is the way that you write it. pleasure. Je. Do you get the je? Pleasure. Or how you can also write it is Jack. We will have Jack coming a bit later. So I'll give that as an element. You have another which comes in, which is church. This is the t sound of the alveolar with the ch sound of the shoe coming together to become church, which is closest that you can get to in Hindi is the cha-cha-cha, cha. That is how the sound comes. And the other one that is close is the, j. This is your j, jack. The closest one that you get is j. This one. Try saying these words and try comparing them to the sounds that you have at the alveolar, like shoe, sir, sit, shoe. Your tongue has moved up a bit. Z, zoo, pleasure, je. Your tongue doesn't, the tip of your tongue doesn't move anywhere, but what is happening is that the tongue is moving towards the upper part of the alveolar ridge, just a little bit above the alveolar ridge. Ch is much easier for you to get it. Ch, say sir, and now say ch. You will be able to make the difference more easily. Say sir and say ch. Say
Ma'am, what
sit.
about
Sorry?
ma'am, what about the word tissue? Where would you have it, in alveolar or post-alveolar? Tissue.
What is, how will you say tissue, sh in it? Isn't it sh sound?
Yes.
So where is the sh sound?
Post-alveolar?
Yes. Why? Because it is the shoe sound.
Huh.
Hai na?
Yeah.
The sh of the shoe sound, isn't it? So
Yes.
that way. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the easiest way for you to get what the post-alveolar is to compare it to sir and ch. That is the easiest way for you to do. Say sit, say sat, say smell, say sing, okay? And now say church, ch. So say sir and now say ch. And you get the fact that your tongue has moved a little bit above. That's the post-alveolar. You're basically realizing a lot of things that should have actually been done in nursery class. In America, this is what they do in nursery. Okay. Now we move to palatal. Please note, you do not have to by heart all of this today. This is just the beginning. You will be looking at this a lot more in the days to come. So don't, yes, the air is releasing. So I'll do the parts of speech, the manner of articulation also today. And it is just for you to assimilate, all right? It is going to take some time for us to get over all of this and come back to some of these. These are many more sounds than you have been accustomed to, but it is, if you want to just learn it as a sound, it is much easier to do. Palatal is the palate. Someone said that it will be the roof of the mouth. This is actually the only sound that comes from the roof of the mouth. This is ear. This is the sound. Ear. And you know this from all the tennis players who have names like Bjorn Borg and all of it, that it is ear. The J is actually pronounced as ear. So this is the symbol for ear sound that comes in. And the symbols are important. Before you ask me, is it important? Yes, they are important. We move on to velar, and velar is the roof of your mouth, is at the back of your roof of your mouth. It is the soft part of your upper part. If you go back, it's a soft part. If you look at it, it will tickle when you roll your tongue. Do that. You guys will have to talk. I won't be able to look at chat. I'm not looking at the chat. There is nothing in the chat anyway. Okay, so say ka now. Say ka as in can, or say ka as in kite. Ka. Say ka. Where is your tongue? Where is what is happening to the part of that? Say ga as in gate. Ga. Kite, gate. Kite, gate, gay, ga, gay, ga, ga. If you have a chewing gum in your mouth and you
Ma'am,
place it at the back of your tongue, you will not be able to say ga. Yeah, go ahead.
ma'am, it is not exactly the tip of the tongue which
No, it is not the
touches.
tip of your tongue.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
is the fact that the back of your tongue is kind of moving towards the roof of your mouth. The sound comes from the back of your mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
The tongue doesn't, the tip of your tongue doesn't do anything. It doesn't roll back or anything like that. So this is when you're looking at sing. Ng sound. Sing. You don't have this in Hindi as one alphabet. Again, this is something that won't occur in Hindi as one alphabet. And so we come up with things like ng sound batayenge and all of it. There's no equivalent really for sing, the ng sound. Another that comes in is the w sound, as in what you would have is wet. Yes, go ahead.
So sing, the na is the, like, how is it different from the Hindi wala ang jo hota hai na के ऊपर जो dot hota hai
But that we
alankar
have
wala.
that can shift it can shift to ma also, no, the ang wala thing, depending on the word. It doesn't have a ng sound with it. Does it have a g sound at the end? It is for
No,
na
so
and it is for ma. It doesn't end with
that
a ng sound.
okay.
Like
Means actually it
think
is
about
used in the
e
form of noun.
Yeah, but the sound itself is not about ng. Ng. Sing versus that. It doesn't have an equivalence. It sounds closer. It will be like how you could write pleasure in Hindi also. Right? It's not that you can't write pleasure in Hindi as well. You could write pleasure in Hindi as well. But typically you would write Hindi, you would write it as your you would write the j sound as a equivalent, but it is not really the same sound. It is similar. It is not the same sound. With ya and all of it, it comes more closer, but not the thing. So same thing with na. It is close. You could write it in Hindi. It doesn't mean that there cannot be any transcription in Hindi. It's just that it is an equivalent. It's a close equivalence. It's not an equivalence. It's a similarity that comes in. You have a sound of world as in wet, wet, which is very similar to the world sound out here that you had. and you do have it out here, but we typically don't take this and we take this sound. Okay, so this is what you will be doing. What else you have is the one that someone said at the beginning, throat, which is your her sound, as in hat, as in her. This is your sound. Okay, this is the only glottal sound that you get, which is the hat and the her sound. These are consonant sounds that are talking about the place of articulation. So what you have in place of articulation is bilabial, dental, labiodental, dental. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 places of articulation that you have. These are just the places of articulation. What you would also have is the manner of articulation. What does manner of articulation mean? Manner of articulation means that it is about how you expel breath, how you are focusing on how the breath is expelled, right? So I'm going to take this chart and place them.
Ma'am,
Go ahead.
ma'am, actually, I just realized for bilabial sound, can the sound for also be one? Because when you say umbrella, the
No, is different.
okay, ma'am, okay.
Like is and then the right?
Yes,
will
ma'am, I was
have to
confused for the
you will
same
have
reason.
to understand the so one of the things that you will have to do is you will have to understand the syllables versus the sounds in terms of it, right? So every time that you're doing this, you will have to think about the syllables that come in there. So in umbrella, there is an sound and then there is a sound. It's not one sound of
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the vowel sounds will have to be accounted for, and the remains the itself. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are good questions to ask. So please keep asking them. One of the things, so if I'm looking at it, see, this is labeled out here compared to the earlier slide that we had. This is much more neater in that sense. But I wanted to tell you about the place of articulation because this is when you become aware of where the sounds are coming from. So now what you have out here is this is the place of articulation that has been very clearly defined for you. Let me expand the screen a bit. So what you have out here is there are two aspects. One is the place of articulation and the other is the manner of articulation. And so in terms of the manner of articulation, what you will get is the fact out here. Okay, I hope you can see it clearly. What you have is all the places are given to you from what we were doing earlier. What you have now are the places of articulation, the manner of articulation also, which is on the left side. What does it mean when you say manner of articulation? Manner of articulation primarily means that you are going to be looking at the way that the sound is released, where the air is released. Okay. So, when the sound is released, it is about whether how are you releasing, expelling breath. That is where the manner of articulation comes in. So what does it mean in that sense? You have something where you're looking at plosives. Plosives are where you also call them stops in English language. We also call them stops. What does it mean is that it will be a sound that you release by expelling your breath. Stopping, it stops the entire release of the air, and then there is a block, and then there is a sudden release. So think about it as a sudden release of air. So say per, pat, say bat, and say mat. Now think about it. When you say pat and you say mat, are your teeth, are your upper lip and lower lip coming as close together and completely stopping air for mat as they do for pat? Think about, do it. Pat, per, pat. Exaggerate the sounds, please. Do not just say them. Please exaggerate the sounds. And pat, and then say mat, and then see how much of force there is between your lips in pat and mat. Exaggerate the sounds. Say it. I'm trying to read the chat if there is any, but there isn't as of now.
Ma'am, ma'am, could you please explain again, like the sound difference? Like I got
Say
confused,
pat,
ma'am.
say pat, say pat,
Pat,
say tat, but
pat,
exaggerate the per sound. Say
pat.
pat, but exaggerate this, not at, that is what you're exaggerating. Say pat,
Okay.
per, say pat, pat,
Pat.
exaggerate the sound, and say mat,
Mat.
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 Do your lips come together
Pat.
as forcefully when you're saying mat as it when you're saying pat?
Yeah, pat is much more forceful and mat
Forceful.
is
The
a bit
lips come together
softer.
much more. Yes, the
Yes,
lips
ma'am.
come together much more hard in pat than in mat, right? The lips are much more hard together. Not when, that doesn't mean that you're biting your lips or anything like that, or they don't like at war. But when you're saying mat, it is a lot more softer. The touch, it is a touch and go kind of thing. Versus when you say pat, when you exaggerate it, obviously when we speak in regular language, it does not make much of a difference. And we get that. But the point is, how is the sound being made? All right. So when you're saying pat, when you exaggerate it, you realize that your lips come together a lot more. They stay in touch for a lot longer. And then than when you're saying mat. It releases much more sooner when you say mat. You can exaggerate the m sound as much as you want, but the m and the p, say p and say m, and you will realize where the force is. And I'm doing this with mer and per and mer because it is a lot more, that is more challenging. If I say b, it is done, that is deal done. So say mer and per, and you realize that your tongue is, your lips are coming together and there is a complete stoppage. Now, what does that mean when your lips come together? It means that all release of air is stopped. There is no release of air that comes in pat. When the lips come together, there is no release of air. There is nothing, that air is not getting released at all. So that is why we talk of it as stop, or we say plosive, because then you release your breath with expulsion of air. It is a explosive expulsion of breath. So typically people, have you seen Main Hoon Na, the teacher who used to spit a lot? There are these teachers whose first bench you never want to be in because you get showered with love and saliva.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you know that it is actually something that we tell people about, the fact that all of these sounds, plosive, affricate, and fricative, the nasal should actually come down. But plosive, fricative, and affricate, if you look at the chart on the left side, there are the column on the left side, you will find the plosive stop. The fricative is where there is friction, and affricate is a mixture of plosive and fricative, very obviously. There, because this block of air or partial blockage of air, and then there is a release of breath. Along with the breath, people who have a lot of saliva in their mouth, along with the breath, what also happens is the saliva releases. So the very same people who are spit a lot when they are speaking actually don't spit when they are singing. Same thing with stutterers. Stutterers don't stutter as much when they are singing as they are speaking. Why? Because the release of air in singing is very different from how it is when it is spoken. So the same words when you are singing, the release, the breath control is very different. And that breath control makes all the difference. So that is why we are also looking at this in that sense. Okay, so now say per and say bh. Now put your hand on your chest and you say per and you say bh. Which one do you expel more breath? Where is your chest working a lot more? When I say chest, I think I did this with your last class also. Just above your breast, in the sense, just press it and just see. It would be something like this, right? So per and bh. I'm trying to demonstrate it. I'm very sorry. This should really be done in person, and we were really hoping that this could have been done. So per, bh. Yes. And if you do the Hindi version of bh, you will realize it's a lot more expulsion of breath. But in obviously pat and bat, I will say bat will expel more breath than per. So the type of articulation when we talk about it is where we talk about voiced and voiceless. These are the unvoiced ones that you actually have. Okay. So if you notice, the first part in every cell is where the unvoiced comes in. You do not expel as much breath when you are saying per, which is why it is the unvoiced or the voiceless, either of it, depending on the textbook that you're referring to, comes with, is how it is referred to. So different textbooks refer to it in different ways. Everything else is voiced because they all get, recognized as sounds where there is expulsion of breath. So the expulsion of breath is the type of articulation that actually makes the sound more discernible to you at the human ear level. All right. So this will be some aspect of what you are looking at in terms of the sounds. Let's look at it. Why do we say fur versus whir? Whir is more voiced than fur. So say fat and say fan, and say van. Okay. Fan, van. Now keep your hand on the chest when you're doing this. Fan, van. Class, please do this. Unless you do this, and it sounds the most ridiculous, but unless you do this, you're not going to get it. Done? Now, when you say fan or van, is there a slight stoppage of air? Yeah, van is more vibrating. Now, when you say that, is there a slight stoppage of air when you say fur? Fur, say fur. What happens when you're saying fur? There is a slight, the air releases from around your teeth as you're saying fur, fur, fur. I'm trying to really exaggerate this. I don't know how it's sounding on your mics. I'm so sorry for that. Fur, were, were, were. But more than were, the fur is easier to get. Fur. Do you get how the air is kind of partially blocked, but there is release of air? This is why a lot of the jokes come around fur, by the way. This is why your Fatah poster, Nikla's hero, whatever thing was about the lisping, as we call it. Yes, someone was trying to say something. Go ahead. There are so many jokes around fur as a result of this. Was someone trying to say something? No one? Yes. So that sound of air that is released, this is fricative. Fricative, friction. So what you talk about is that there is friction and there is release of air because there is friction. Okay. So this, sorry. All the fricative sounds, sir, z, look at all that line, right? Sir, z, th, dh, sh, zh, all of them are going to be about partial release of air. You realize these are the ones that children find the most difficult to master. Why do you think that might be the case? Children are much more prone to be able to say l. Not even l. L sometimes becomes difficult for them, but they are able to say k or g. But for them, t, dh, s, z, all of this becomes very difficult for them to master. Why do you think that is the case? Think about every child you know, they have problems mastering the l, z, s, etc.
Ma'am, is it because their teeth are not as what do you call it? They're still probably are not used to pronouncing it properly, as in
Yeah.
because their teeth.
Actually, all of you guys, all of you have mastered all of this without ever having learned the theory of it. You know how to say all these sounds. You know how to make these sounds, and you know to make more sounds, right? But so one of the things is that it is so difficult for a child in terms of trying to understand how to release the air partially, but not block it completely. Imagine a child having to think through this. Imagine a child having to understand how to roll the tongue in one place and how not to roll the tongue in another place. One of the things you will realize with a lot of children is, again, they make a lot of mistakes in alveolar sounds, right? The n, s, z, l, all of them get interchanged back and forth. They just don't know how to say it because, again, it's coming from the same place. How do I make the difference? It is so difficult. Yes, these sounds have a lot of tongue and it is too much for them to master. It is also that they have a thick tongue. Generally, the tongue may become thick. If you notice a small child, the tongue is not that delicate. So they have to understand how to move the tongue. They have to get the flexibility in the tongue. If you notice children, their feet are always very flat. Okay, the arch that we have in our feet develops slowly over a period of time. Do you understand those differences? They're very physical differences. Now, as a result of it, because the feet is very flat, and even with very flat feet will know this, it is difficult to have very good balance. Your balance comes from the arch of your feet. So the arch of your feet, where you balance on the balls of your feet or the heels of your feet, is where it comes from in terms of balance. If you have very flat feet, that means your weight is evenly distributed, which means on uneven surfaces, you will not be able to walk that quickly. You will not be able to move that transition of moving your feet back and forth. It is very difficult for you to get it. These are very simple things, but they obviously take time and a process, which is why a child does not start walking when they are 6 months of age. The child, as they learn to walk over a period of time, develop these arches and all of it. So this is a physical development. The same thing occurs with your tongue. Your tongue is slightly thicker in a child, and as the child grows, as the teeth grow, as there are certain sounds where, as long as they have their what you call the milk teeth, the child sometimes is never able to speak certain sounds. Some of the children are never able to make certain sounds properly. If you've lost your teeth, you know that there will be sounds which are difficult, especially in fricative, because more air releases than less air. And so it becomes very difficult to do. So you realize how much of your, the structure of your jaw, the structure of your tongue, the structure of how your teeth are developing, all of this makes a difference in phonology in terms of the sounds that you're able to produce or not produce. And kudos to all of you. You already know all of this. All that we are going back and doing is theorizing it a bit more. So please know that you know all of this from, being able to do it. Now you just have to explain how to do it. And maybe that is actually more difficult. It's like teaching your parents how to use certain applications on the mobile phone, right? You know, it is much more painful to do that. But, and sometimes you just are thinking, how did I get this done? It's that way. All right. So children obviously find fricatives difficult. F, V, th, look at again, th, see how if you hold a mirror in front of you and you sing th, you will realize that there is air that gets expelled out there, partially as you're saying it. Dh, similarly, s, z. Now, s and z, the air releases around your tongue. Th and dh, the air releases around your tongue and through the teeth. Sh, j. There is, as the tongue is touching the post-alveolar ridge, sh, it sort of partially releases the air, then the tongue moves and the rest of the air releases. J, same thing. H, air is released, but it is around, it's basically moving. H is easier. H, of course, air gets released. but it seems like your glottal muscles are coming together and then releasing the air. But there is a release of air for sure. You get this? I don't need you to by heart it, but you get the logic of it. That's all that I need to know right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no child has ever been able to call you Riya. Yeah, infants can't pronounce. So that's the other part. The problem also comes from the alveolar part. Now, dental, alveolar, and post-alveolar are very difficult for children to get because they're all very close. So if I'm saying ta, and which is what Sanjay was asking also, what was the big difference between ta and ta? It doesn't sound, I mean, it's just a partial, such a marginal, it's not even centimeter long difference between adjusting your tongue. And a child is told, ta suno, or batao abhi kaise pronounce tum karo, right? No child is told, keep your tongue at the teeth and then say ta. No, right? The child is able, and we all as children have been able to understand and do this on our own. We experimented and got it right. So kudos, all right? And therefore they are not able to say the r, because the r, Riya, again becomes problematic because you have to roll your tongue a bit. It doesn't really touch, but it has to be around that place. Again, say you can try doing different kinds of r. R, 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 R. There are multiple Rs that you can do. There are in Indian languages about 4 to 5 Rs that you have across Indian languages. For instance, in Tamil, there will be 3 that we use. In Hindi, you have only one R, Rat, R. But in other languages, you do have more than one R, 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 R. So you can just keep moving your tongue back. Similarly with L, late L, but now try saying the null L that comes behind. But if you really look at L, again, similarly, it rolls back. L. Slightly different from R. Slight differences. And all this in languages across the world, children are learning to do on their own and master it. So kudos to them. But obviously, as they are doing all of the statistical analysis of experimentation, they are getting a few things wrong and it takes time. But this is where the sounds are coming from. So fricative, friction, therefore there will be partial release of air. Affricate is a mixture of stop and fricative, right? It starts from a stop, moves to a fricative. The only 2 sounds that you have in affricate is ch and jh, right? Church and judge, right? These 2 sounds. That's the only 2 sounds that you have in affricate. Now, if you do your alliteration and your tongue twisters, you will realize that most of the sounds of tongue twisters are placed across the world in plosive, fricative, and affricate. They begin with these plosives, fricatives, or affricates because they are the most difficult to get. Stutterers, stammerers, all over will stutter and stammer on plosives, fricatives, and affricates because the release of air becomes problematic. People do not stutter on nasal sounds. What is nasal? Can you tell me what nasal is? Now you've already got it. It's all about breath. So what is a nasal sound?
The air is released through the nose, ma'am?
Yes, partially through the nose. Not that it is completely released through the nose. It is partially released through the nose. So m, n, ng are sounds that are released through the nose. In Chinese, you can, of course, in Hindi itself, you will have 2 different n's, right? N and n, right? So you may have more nasal sounds than are evident in the English language, but the air is partially released through the nose. So if you have a nose blockage, sometimes the difference between mat and pat is not very evident to the listener because your nose has blocked that air release. And so you're not able to, the other person is not able to discern the difference because you're not able to speak that difference. Approximants are semi-vowels. Okay. Approximants are semi-vowels. And basically they come with the vowel sound itself. The focus is on the vowel sound rather than on their sound, but these are the approximants. Approximants are more, the release of air is more free flowing. So y, w, r, the release of air is not as stopped in that sense. Even r, for that matter, doesn't really stop the air in any form. And r does not really get pronounced all the time. There is more emphasis on the vowel sound. So for instance, car, right? Say car. We don't really say the r sound in car. We say car. In third, we don't really use the r sound. We say third and the r is not pronounced. So the vowel sounds are very often given more prominence when these sounds are used. In similarly world, wet, etc. The e sound or the sound are the ones which are pronounced yell, yellow. L is more pronounced than the y sound of yellow, right? The y is not as pronounced. So that's something that you would have to look at in approximant, which is why they are called semi-vowels. And the lateral approximant, which is the only one which is a thing, which is lateral sound as we call it, is l. L, because it is a very flat sound. It doesn't, it has a very linear way of moving. That is why it is called the lateral approximant. It doesn't, and it is differentiated from the approximants because l does get emphasized. It is just that it very often comes with a lot of the it gets emphasized, though it comes with a lot of the vowel sounds. It does get emphasized. So the lateral is just that there is a smooth flowing of air that is that's absolutely straight, and there is no sudden blockage or a stop or anything of that sort. So it is differentiated from the approximants because they are generally emphasized by the vowel sounds. Do I get these differences? Are these kind of clear to you all? Affricate, look at the affricate in this chart, Mushraf. Look at the affricate here. There are only two affricate sounds. They are a combination of the alveolar, right, and the post-alveolar sound. So please look at where they are. It not the alveolar plosive, which is the t. So this is how this is coming through, right? Look at this. I will try and just a second. So look at this. Can you see the difference? These are the ones that will be the mixture. The affricate is a mixture of the plosive and the fricative. So the ch sound here comes from the t, and the if I really want to do this in yeah, so that is how it would be. Okay, this is your the, and the. I think the rest are easy to identify and put in. The rest are fairly easy to identify. Okay. So if you can kind of look at this chart and be able to understand how these words are, what is asked of you in the Kenny? Yes. Can you, what you can do is, what you can look at these charts. I will paste this into the slideshow presentation. And what you can try doing is, I'm just pausing video share. And what you can try doing is look up the sounds yourselves. And for tomorrow, what I will do is do the vowel sounds with you all right? So that is the other thing that I will take up and do the vowel sounds. And then you will have enough time to practice a bit of this before we go on to transcription, so that you can go on to transcription. So the vowel sounds and the consonant sounds come together. The consonant sounds are these. These are the maximum that come through. And then there is the vowel sound where the focus is different. Is that clear? You will be asked in the exam to take a word like pat, for instance, or pit, or anything of that sort, and transcribe it using these symbols about the elements, and look at it. So that would be where it is. Is that okay? I don't think we should go too much further to the problem. Doubts, class? More doubts? Lots of doubts?
No, ma'am, not yet actually.
Not yet, okay.
Because it is fresh in our minds, so maybe later on.
Yeah, so once you practice enough, we can work with this and then move on to the other element. So we can start working on the
Ma'am, when we say the word ribs, it comes under alveolar ribs, right?
yeah. When you say this, yeah,
No, not this. Ribs. R-I-B-S. Ribs.
r sound is the same, right? It will be just the r sound.
I'm not sure of this one. That is I'm asking. Ribs.
What is
R-I-B-S.
what is the r sound?
Yeah, that has been alveolar, right?
Yeah, the r sound is alveolar.
Okay.
Approximant, the way that you will be identifying it is that it is alveolar, approximant, or semi-vowel as you would call it, and that it would be a voiced sound. That is how you would try and define it.
Oh, so we have to like this in the exam, as in to, kind of break it and understand the whole thing altogether.
Yeah, so in the exam, you will have to do two things. You will have to transcribe it and you will have to give the type, manner, and place of articulation.
Okay.
So that is your 15 marks, right? Your the first part of it is transcription. Then any of the 5 sounds that you have, you would have to push it in focusing on trying to look at you would have to then look at it from the angle of identifying the 5 prominent vowels, consonant sounds, and giving the place, manner, and type of articulation. So half mark for place per 5, half mark for place, half mark for articulation, half mark for place. So that's how it comes, right?
Oh, thank you.
Not half, not 1/3. Yeah. So yes, that is your first question. Your first question is primarily that. If you want to know how to write the answer transcription is also there. So let me just, we're almost running out of time. So tomorrow what I will do is I'll show you how the answer is written once we've finished both the vowels and this part. But I would really recommend that you learn to do this with respect to the with respect to the to how you pronounce the sounds and not just look at what the dictionary says or what is the thing. So then you will get your doubts very clear. That is when you will really learn. Okay, so that is important that you focus on this. Okay. All right. I think it's almost time up. It is not difficult. I'm again telling you all of you have done this. It is currently just one piece. Tomorrow, I hope I can present the entire piece. And by Saturday, you should get the composite idea of what you have to do. And since you have all mastered these sounds, it should not be difficult. So you should be able to manage through. Okay. All of us have done these sounds, so you should be able to manage. Don't worry about it so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. And then next week we move on to clauses. So this semester is kind of heavy. Also try and understand all the, I mean, fall in love with the sounds and how they are complex, but they're also so fun, and there's so much of history to the sounds actually. So, and there's so much of history to the effect of the sounds. So that will be wonderful to look at. It's 3 p.m. So I will end the meeting right now, and you can go on. See you tomorrow at 1. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.